All that stuff. Too many things to comment on. Was gonna play Donkey Kong Jr. tonight, but I'm just flipping to nights has been hard. I'm still tired and just not motivated. But the wife and kids are sleeping, so I figured I would stream and talk. Let me stay awake. Is there nothing in the news of interest? Oh, excuse me. Sorry if that's loud. No, that's what you get. I don't know if that music's too loud. I should do a quick sound check. Quick sound check. Testing. Testing. Really? Sounds so horrible. Why would that be the case? Crank it up more. Turn this down a little bit. Alright, check on that. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Test, test. It's really weird. The gain get cranked up on this. Testing. Check that out there. Testing. Check that out there. I don't get it. This is a Blue Yeti. It's supposed to be a good microphone. It's like 1.5 feet from my mouth. Probably because I don't talk loud enough, maybe. From my mouth. Probably because I don't talk loud enough, maybe. Sometimes I wonder how people do their microphones. The voice is usually pretty clear, like if you listen to or watch any YouTube videos where people have microphones. They have a microphone like right here, and maybe they're talking really loud into it. I don't know. Could be something like that. But it's gonna sound better than this. I don't know, it sounds like I'm in like a tunnel. I'm in a tunnel. Why would it sound like I'm in a tunnel? It's unclear. And I think the music was not coming through on the stream. That was the other thing I was looking at. The music was not coming through on the stream. That was the other thing I was looking at. The music was... I don't know. I don't know. Could just be soft spoken. At one time I spent a good hour just watching videos on how to get your microphone to sound pretty decent. They did a sampling of different microphones that they have, so you can kind of get an idea of what they sound like. Yeah, I think it's there's a lot of different settings for these things. It's never clear to me why it doesn't come out very well. I think I know why. It's because this isn't even picking up my voice. Give me a second here. How do I... this microphone should be the one that's... it's not even using my microphone. That would make a bit of difference, wouldn't it? Audio. What device are you using? And how can I find out? That's interesting. So this microphone is not... that's why it doesn't sound good. There's a microphone there. The US port. Testing. No, that's not it either. there an audio source here? Audio input capture. Okay, so hope that's not super loud. Let's find out. Testing my voice, testing my voice, testing. Okay, see, that's better. Turns out that I wasn't using my actual microphone sitting right here. See, it works now. I wonder why this particular setting did not work. Actually, let me change that out. I don't want more stuff on here. I'll go ahead and remove. Sorry about that. Sorry, just needed to change it. Yeah, for some reason OBS had switched to my webcam. I guess that can happen. For some reason OBS had switched to... See, now it sounds really nice and clear. It's like that, I guess. Whatever. Alright. You know what I'm wondering? Is there anything worth talking about? Yeah, I suppose, yeah. I'm home from work for 2 weeks. My son tested positive for COVID, so health department is making us all stay in our house for 2 weeks. So what are the odds of all 6 of us passing it along to each other, right? Seems pretty high, don't you think? I mean, we're all young and healthy, so we're not too concerned about it here. It's mainly just not being able to go to work. Speaking of which, I need to see if they sent me an email back. HR. Not so far. So we'll see what Yeah, so apparently after my son had tested positive for COVID, they did some contact tracing with some kids at school, and 7 of them met the criteria. Not a single one of them, so far that I know of, tested positive. So I mean, it could be a false positive, but you know, even if you were tested again and it became negative, then they're going to ask, is that a false negative? So they don't mess around with that, I guess. So they just assume. So we're just kind of stuck. But, you know, it's like, do we really have to do this? Do we really have to stay inside? I guess that happens. And here I am. Just chilling at home. Still don't have a response from work about how they want to handle things. Now hopefully we can get a response on that. I wish I actually felt like playing a game right now. I just don't. I don't feel like playing a game. Maybe I could do some drills on Donkey Kong Jr. maybe. Suppose that could be something. That is definitely not the maybe I could do some level 1. That was loud. Sorry about that. That was loud. Not good, right? Not good. I guess what I could do is just look at level 1, see what birds can be grouped for a double. I mean, that's simple enough. Just drop that here. Yeah, we could do a double on the first 2 that come out and go straight up. Suppose that's possible. Gotta remember that one. It shouldn't be too hard because I'm pretty sure I knew about it before. I think most people go for that. Now it's an issue of looking at, you know, what would be the first things I might be able to do on the other side. Thankfully, we can get that initial smash in there too. Gotta love Chrono Trigger. Dude, you could smash that first one. Maybe the first bird that you could hit. Yeah, it's always fun. It just seems like the execution on this has to be really tight. Yeah, I think we're good on level 1. Should be good anyways. It just has a lot to do with okay. The double plus the one up. I'm trying to remember exactly which birds are what. The first one after the three is a tracker. But you could use that to your advantage though. I don't know if there's a way for me to play this on there, but it doesn't matter. I don't. So the first bird, level 2, is not your friend. Not your friend. So third, you can hit the third one. Is that a tracker? I don't like it. It doesn't matter. Do 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 do. I think I might need to write out what the different birds are and what they do again. You know, I actually think that I already have information on that. I did a forum post on Donkey Kong strategy. If I could ever find it. People weren't busy doing their springboard bird patterns. No, I remember doing a long post analyzing each of the birds that were coming out. We got the springboard bird patterns, the different sequences. There are patterns. There are bird patterns. But did I document? I'm not finding it. Yeah, I might have to just write it out again, because I'm not really seeing a list of those birds. Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Alright, let's document this, because we need to know each of the birds. Ugh, so tired. Alright. So a good way of trying to figure this out would be see how many birds we got. Let's see, we need to just get to the blue chains. Drop that there. This sounds a little different. That sounds different. Sounds like a different rendition. That's weird. I mean, I know well enough what it sounds like to know that this is slightly different. Alright, here we go. So we get that one. 1, 2, 3. The 2. Well, normally what we're interested in, those three, the first one I think is a preset. I think the last one is always drops. That true? If the last bird always drops, we can always use that to our advantage. Though, when are we ever pushing the key up? Yeah. Alright, so the last bird in the sequence always drops. So what that would mean is that the first is set, first three is set. Come on, cat. It's not good. I think only one of these is a seeker. Yeah, the second to last is a seeker. Last is low. Second last is a seeker. Then you have these two doubles. That's why the last two look like they're low, but the second to last only looks like that because it's those seem to be preset. Alright, so what we're doing is we're taking a look. So the first three are always going to be those. That's the low on the first. The first of those three. The two, and then the one after the two. So what we're going to do is test out each. So we could go straight up and never get killed on that one. And those two are not seekers, so they're not going to kill you. The third from the last looks like, so, okay. Alright, the third from the last is a seeker. Is that true of the second? It doesn't really matter. But that's an odd one there. Was the last one still active? Hey Baller, welcome in. I'm a little tired. I'm still switching from days to nights. I stayed up for 27 hours. Prior to that, yesterday, and tried to sleep as late as I could today, but I didn't sleep for very long. This is night 2. I'll get regulated soon, but I'm tired. That's why I'm not playing a game at the moment. I'm just running drills and analyzing things and talking to people to stay awake. Hey Consoles, welcome in. Hey Rage, good day to you as well. Those are original machines. They are original. They are original. So I have, this is the original wide body. It is not a conversion kit. And then there's the Donkey Kong. I have a Donkey Kong Jr. board in it at the moment, but I do have a DK board as well. But I've been playing Donkey Kong Jr. until it's no longer fun for me again. It comes and goes. Last time I derested, I got a fairly easy PB, so I mean, I kind of think it shouldn't be that hard to derest and get in the hang of things again. Hey, oh, you're switching work schedules as well, Baller? I was gonna have a 7-day vacation here, but I canceled my paid time off because the health department is forcing me to stay home for 2 weeks because my son was he tested positive for COVID, so it could be a false positive. We don't know. We're just taking it for what it is. But the 6 of us are quarantined in the house, so probably all gonna get it. Whatever. It's for me. It's mainly not going to work, and the fact that, you know, I'm switching to nights at this point. Now we're dealing with, I'm sleeping during the day. None of the kids are going to school. And my wife has to take care of them all. So it's kind of like summertime, but worse. At least during the summer, my autistic son goes to the center and they work with him for a while, so she can have kind of have the special needs break, right? So she's not taking care of him. He's not too hard to take care of. It's, you know, if you feed him like other kids, and you normally would just watch this TV. He doesn't really play with toys or anything, so it's mainly him just running around. But it could still be kind of stressful for her, so I get it. Yeah, so worst case scenario though, Baller, is if a second person tests positive, and we're going to test throughout this period, because even after the period where we have to wait, we still, like for my work, for example, I would still need to have a negative test. But if one of us gets it from my son, then our time starts all over again. Right? Our quarantine time starts all over again. So let's say at the tail end of the 14 weeks, another one of us gets it. We're looking at 4 weeks. Then it could be 6 weeks. I mean, there's 6 of us in the house, so you could imagine if we were all like spaced out, passing it amongst each other. I mean, that could happen with the flu. You could be passing that thing around between us for a month or two, depending on how long it lasts and all of that stuff. So, yeah, thanks for the well wishes. Yeah, it's crazy to think, though. That worst case scenario could be like a month and a half. I hope not. But I do think it strange if only he gets it and like nobody else gets it. That would lead me to think that it was a false positive, because he also tested positive for strep. Like he got strep and COVID at the same time. I get stuck in a loop, yeah. The infinite COVID loop, yeah. Well, at least all of us will get some natural immunity for it and everything, which is better and long lasting anyways. So I mean, we're all healthy and young, so we're not like concerned. But my son said he had some really strange symptoms today. He actually said he started feeling numb in parts of his body. That's weird. But again, because he got the positive test, he's super sensitive and like aware of everything. So, you know how that is. And of course, because, you know, if we feel anything, it's automatically, hey, I wonder if that's the start of symptoms, you know. We'll see. Whatever. We'll do our best with it. I don't differentiate between flu or COVID, which is why. You know, that very well could be. I mean, not only that, but I heard that the amplification cycles are set pretty high. You know, it could be possible for it to pick up just a broken piece of virus DNA. So it could be the flu, but he's also having more symptoms. In fact, I don't even know if he has a fever. I don't even know. But here's the thing. You can't have that conversation with the Department of Health. As far as they're concerned, you got a positive test, whether it was a false positive for COVID, it was actually the flu, or just a false positive, or that it just picked up something, you know, or the sample was contaminated. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can happen where he doesn't actually have COVID. So, I mean, I keep all that stuff in mind, but it's not going to change the fact that we've been ordered to stay home. Do I get paid for that? Or, like, if the health department tells me that I can't go to work, am I getting compensated for that? I don't know. Are people getting unemployment? Right? Because I'm not employed for those. Yeah, I'll have to ask. It just seems like if they're gonna like command you to stay home for 2 weeks, Are you gonna pay my bills? And I'm not even the one with COVID. There is, depending on state. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. A guy I work with, his wife works with the unemployment stuff, so that should be a quick and easy question. If anybody would know, it would be her. But if I have to stay home for 2 weeks and not get any pay at all, that makes sense that there's something that I could get. I mean, aren't there people still at home getting money, like free money, for not working? Like we've talked about that before, how, well, I mean, how do you expect people to go back to work if it's always incentivized for them to stay home? They're getting free money. Like in my case, when they had me stay home for 2 months. I was off for 2 months because the plant shut down for 2 months. But I didn't get very much unemployment. I actually got less than if I were working. You know how some people are like, I'm getting more money than when I worked. Not me. I got little to nothing. The only reason why I got anything at all is because they were tacking on that $400 or whatever it was. And the reason is because I was doing substitute teaching prior to, and so it wasn't full time. Working this new job, and even though we were in a new quarter, they look at the previous quarter, and I had only worked like less than half of it at the new job, so I maybe got 30% of what I would have gotten if they had shut down the plant a few months later. So I kind of got screwed out of the deal, unfortunately. But I had enough saved up that it wasn't a problem. But it was still annoying. So I was eager to get back to work. Every week or two, I would text my supervisor, "Are we back yet? Any anticipated day?" Because I want to make more money, right? Yeah. Your business got ruined? I'm not surprised. A lot of people who had businesses. We had like Family Video. Had 3 locations in my area. All of them done. In fact, I don't even think that I even looked to see if Family Video even like went out of business. Maybe I should even ask Google here. Did Family Video go out of? Announced this week that the company will close its remaining 300 stores and go out of business. Yeah, as of the first of the year. They had 300 locations. And they closed everything and liquidated all their assets. I suppose it's just as well. I mean, I know we live in the age of the internet, but one thing I didn't like about Family Video is they had porn in the back room, right? They had the free kid stuff, and that's what I went in there for. They had a kid section where everything was free. So yeah, I mean that's cool. Yeah, I'll take your free stuff. You know, your free cartoons, and so the kids got like Young Justice and some Teen Titans Go and stuff like that. It was cool. But I'm not necessarily upset
that they went out of business because I wasn't invested in the business at all, and I didn't like that part of their business. I didn't want to give them my money as a result. I mean, you can find all those movies and TV shows and stuff on the internet for free anyway. So, I mean, the fact that they still had brick and mortar stores, you know, even with the Redbox and stuff, that, I mean, heck, with Redbox, they were charging only $1 at one point while they were building their business. I think they might do like $1.50, $2 now, but plus, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff I can see for fairly cheap on Amazon Prime Video. That is depressing. I am very sorry to hear that. That's annoying because alright, so you have people who invest their time and effort into building something. Everybody knows when you're in business there's ups and downs, you know. Things come and go. But when you're forced to shut down your business and you can't generate any revenue, but you still have to pay your bills, what are you gonna do? What can you do? You first try to weather it, but then as you watch your account just dwindle, you have to ask the question, you know, can I take out a loan? And will that be enough? And even if I can open back up, you know, what's going to be my clientele? You know, like 20% people coming than before. You have to just say, hey, this sucks. And I think what bothers me the most is that some of these smaller businesses, mom and pop type businesses, shut down, and then people still needed the stuff they sold, so they end up going to Walmart, you know, or some other, or ordering off Amazon and having it ordered. Those businesses, I bet, really picked up. And then people get in the habit of going to those stores, and now that there aren't alternatives, like if somebody didn't want to buy things from Walmart because they want to support a local business, which is noble, even if you pay a few extra bucks, you know, that's good. Same thing is true even if you do go to Walmart. You know, if you go to buy a shovel, you know, instead of getting the $10 shovel made in China, you can actually get the $13 shovel that says made in USA. You know, buy that shovel instead. So there's different things that people can do to try to support local businesses and products made in the USA, even if it costs a few extra bucks, which is okay. I mean, that's cool that people got the money to do it. Oh yes, it wasn't there. That there was something about small business loans. Hey, thanks for the follow. Welcome in. Yeah, we got a original wide body Mario Brothers, which you saw in, you know, I'm thinking like in 80s films, I think you ended up seeing Mario Brothers more than you saw Donkey Kong. You know, like Over the Top, there was one in the background, pretty pronounced. I think we saw one in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Trying to think of some other films where we saw one, you know. Yeah, that's right, consoles. The loans. The loans. That's good stuff. That was helpful. I think I remember not being a business owner, I didn't have to pay any attention to it, but that's cool. Mortal Kombat arcade machine. For aesthetic reasons. I don't want that thing in my living room. Why? Who needs a couch? Who needs a couch when you got a stool? Right? Yeah, I think you can see my stool at the. Yeah, see, you can see it this way. Yeah, the stool. You just need a stool. It's not like you can play Mortal Kombat sitting on the couch. I mean, there's a lot of things we could actually go without if you really think about it. I mean, a lot of things. I mean, especially like when people get their first apartment, do you really want to carry a couch into there? Especially if you're on the second or third floor. Do we really need a couch? No, you usually get, what are those things called? Ottomans? Or you get something, but not a couch. You know, and you don't even need a bed, you know, you just need a mattress on the floor, right? Or a cot. Futon, that's what I was thinking about, futon. Yeah. There's cheap ways of going about things. Save your money for other things. Doesn't hurt to save $1 or $2. But saved money can add up. Even if slowly. Even if slowly. Oh, yeah. Live on a second floor higher. Just go to Home Depot. Rent some illegals for a day's wage. Have other people. Hire other people, right? To carry all your stuff. Hey, Cabs, welcome in. What does the fox say? The fox. Is there a context to this question? Or are you setting up a joke? Managed to PB in junior the other night? Oh no, not at all, Wager. The D-Rust has just begun. There's a lot of timing. I had to fine-tune and everything. I was doing horrible. It probably didn't help that I was working on, like, I started playing after I'd been awake for 24 hours, so I mean, it's not like I'm conditioned for a Nibbler 4-day marathon or Qbert or something. It just doesn't work. Last time my D-Rust actually went well and quick. First I spent a couple nights just running through the boards so that I could practice the springboard and the blue chains. And then once I got that, it only took me a quarter or two. Yeah, it was a bad session. Yeah, like, and I also realized just how under practiced I was. Like, I did some drills on MAME on my laptop because it was convenient, and I got re-familiar with level 4 plus chains, but when I was playing, I was struggling with the blue chains for level 1, 2, and 3. And I had also forgotten how to try to set up for the potential 2 smash on level 2 springboard level. You can get 2 birds there, but I think if it's not frame perfect, it's like just a couple frame window. It's very small chance to snag the 2 birds. I mean, it's all execution, but I couldn't remember how to get up there and which birds I had to use for the setup. So I had to refamiliarize myself with that. I'll have to do that a few more times just to make sure I get it. I think I end up losing 200 points if I miss it. If you go quick, snag one, and get off the ladder, get off the level, you're actually, I think it's 200 points faster, but I'm willing to give up 200 points for the possibility of me executing something near frame perfect, right? Because the second smash is 1200. It's 1200 points. So I'll net 1000. So I lose only 200 to try. If I get it, I net 1000. I'm okay with that. It's early on, it doesn't really matter much. Any NES schools? Well, I think it's mainly always what I feel like. I think the days of playing the same game for 90 days like I did for the partner rush, the partner push that I did a couple of years ago in the summer. Where I played Castlevania 3. I mean, that was fun and everything. But I was doing it for a specific reason. Actually, I just hit my 3-year anniversary. My 3-year anniversary. I should probably do a stream for partner anniversary. Partnerversary, people like to call it. 3 years? That's cool. 3 years. The last NES game I did play was Double Dragon. It was one of my early speedruns, and I didn't put a lot of fine-tuning into it. But I played that for about a week, 2 weeks, I think. I don't think I went a third week. I jumped into the number 2, number 3 spot, so that was cool. Pretty difficult to try to beat Bug Honey. Bug Honey is a beast on that game. It's a crazy time. He is in a league of his own when it comes to that game. Oh yeah, the Spark level in Donkey Kong Jr., you have to milk it, and it's, I think, 5 minutes, maybe 4.5. And so the idea is that that's where you sack your men at the end of the game. You sack your men there. 3 years consoles, absolutely. Yeah, the date that I got notified for Twitch Partner was September 7th. 2018. It was a 100-day stretch journey. Took me 100 days to work on that. Let's see. Thanks for the congratulations, Baller. Yeah. Hey, Goblin. If you could trade your virginity for your collection, would you take that? Trade it. Let me see if I can follow what you're asking. For my collection. Well, I have a wife and 4 kids, so it's not something that I have. Since I don't have it, how could I use it to trade? Unless I'm missing your question. You can reframe your question if you want further response. 3 years. Let's see, you worked hard for it, and I'm glad for it. It was an incredible journey, Wager. It was emotional. Took a lot of discipline. And unfortunately, it just seemed to keep going over and over and over and over again. Just like every single day I was checking my email. I was talking to other people, and how long did it take for you? This 100 days is just absolutely crazy. But when I got the email, it was like, nice. Now I can do whatever I want, right? I don't have to continue playing Castlevania. And normally, if you want to build your channel, just do world record attempts on an NES game. Pick a game, stick with it, stay with it, and be top tier. Actually have the skill to be able to beat the top times in the game. And so I pushed both of those up, which was fun. But I have gone back to the US version of Castlevania 3 once after that. Because the level engine had beaten my time, or I think it was JC maybe. But then I stopped after a PB. I may have gone back a second time. Back a second time meaning a third time playing it. And I think the second time I took the world record back, I think. I could be wrong. And then my time was beat. Then I got a PB, but it wasn't a world record. And then I stopped, and I was playing some other things because I'd played that game a lot. But then Level Engine came back to the game and kept driving it down and made a few adjustments. And his time on it now is when I watched it, I don't think it was probably several months ago. I don't recall if there was a lot of time loss. It was rather clean. Got a lot of the things that one would expect to get in a run. So I don't know if I can. I'm willing to grind on a game if it's reasonable. Like with Castlevania 3, after I had gotten the record in the US version, I switched to the Japanese version after I got the record in that one, which I think Ohan, I think that was the name. I held the record in that for some time. I don't know why people don't want to play the Japanese version. I think the soundtrack is much better, and you can do the enhanced audio mod on the NES to bring in the quality sound and everything, which I did for those runs. I definitely like that soundtrack better. It was fun. But there aren't any NES games that I'm thinking about right now of playing. Nothing's piqued my interest. I haven't been watching NES games a lot. And I think that's one of the factors why I haven't had a lot of interest. At least with Donkey Kong Jr., 2 people have beaten my time since my last PB, so that there's been some activity. I'm more likely to play if there's a more active interest in it. But I'm not sure. I have a tendency to lose interest in things quickly. Lawnmower. Is this an NES game? Or have you seen my yard lately? Is that it? It's been raining a lot, so there hasn't been a convenient time to go out there and mow the yard. I'm hoping tomorrow I'll play some Junior. I was going to play today, but I just haven't had... I think it's a free game? Oh, it's a homebrew. So Lack and some others have played it. Oh, okay. Is it like kind of like a puzzle, or is it like a platformer? Yeah, that grass can grow pretty fast, especially when it rains. It's kind of surprising when there's like a lot of heat and very little rain, the grass just acts like it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't look like it grows at all, but then if you have a couple of days of rain, it's like, great, now everything's gonna just grow and you have to cut it down. Try not to run out of gas, and the gas can spawn at different spots. Rocks and flowers and such. Oh, okay. Interesting. I'm not against playing homebrew. In fact, I thought about playing Battle Kid once, just because it's kind of a fast platformer. But I wasn't sure if it's something I would like to play. I did recently buy some new Steam games. See if I can pull up some of the more recent Steam games I've picked up. I did get the latest DLC for Trine 4. As soon as Steam decides to open up here. Try not to run out of gas. Tree roots. Yeah, gotta watch them tree roots. You know, okay, finally Steam is opening up. Let's see what I picked up here. I did pick up both Elwa's Awakening and Legacy. I haven't played those, but it kind of looks like the kind of game that I would play, so I decided to get it. Do I check Epic Games weekly? No, I don't. Oh, really? Epic Games? One of the games I did get recently is called Life Goes On. It's a puzzle game. If you don't know the game, it's based on in order to solve the puzzles, you have to figure out how to kill yourself, and then you respawn. But then you use your carcass as like to hold down a button or to complete an electrical circuit, or so basically you just keep killing yourself over and over again to solve the puzzle and use your carcass as a solution. Very interesting. It's not like you're like a little knight figure with armor, so you don't really see anything, you know. This is Chrono Trigger, yeah. Daily free games. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. We said on Thursday, huh? I wonder what game they have free now. So I got that one. I got the 2 Elwa games. I did a recent playthrough of Eternal Hope. Toby the Secret Mine. Semblance was a really good game. I liked Semblance. I still need to finish Little Nightmares 2. I got Seasons After Fall. Looks like more of like a kid game. It was a puzzle platformer and it was just a couple dollars, so I said okay. Thought to do a playthrough of Scene. I still need to finish Carry On. Braid started getting kind of complicated. Life Goes On was getting complicated too, where it just took so long to do the puzzles. I am looking forward to Silk Song coming out, if it ever does. Who knows if it ever will. Highly doubt a new Ori game will come out. I liked playing through those. I still need to finish PID. If they ever come out with a second Semblance game, I definitely would be interested in that. So, I mean, the Unravel games were pretty good. Still playing through those. Flying, I need to finish up that one. So I picked up a few things. Unbound looks pretty good, but I'm not going to fork out the money for Unbound at this time, especially when I got these other things I could mess with. But they're pretty decent. Oh, what's the it's free. Oh, hi Nick, how's it going? I kind of got talking in my own. I was putting myself to sleep with my monotone voice. Free in Epic Games? Really? Is that a decent game? What kind of game is it? I don't just play anything. You know, I need to. Q does the voice of Discord? I need to listen in on that. Diablo games? I haven't played any of those. Oh, samurai fighting? My son might like that, I don't know. A cat? You guys see it? That's funny. NPC cat. That's funny. With the entire arcade. I don't like the cat getting up there because this morning I found the webcam. You probably can't see it very well, but right here, right there, that's actual webcam that's looking down at my hands. It's one of the things I put in my stream display, so you can actually see me doing the inputs, right? But that was on the floor this morning. I have a book holding it up there. That's why I have the marquee taken out. I have a book holding it. So I mean that's kind of annoying when the cats start knocking things around in my game room. Not too happy about that. I don't even know if it works now. It's probably quite resilient, so I think it should work. Huh? Nothing is safe, yeah. Nothing is safe to cats. Huh. I was just thinking that my the panel underneath my stream only has three images. I don't remember there only being 3. Oh, apparently I removed my personal best section. I removed my personal best section. Really? I guess I did. I guess I didn't care much about that. Just as well. It's not that big of a deal. That's right, cat will not go into the water. Yeah, I watched a video on YouTube a while back, and it was a cat that loved the bath. Yep. In fact, the owner would fill the tub up with water just so the cat could play in it. Like every time there was water, it was always like hitting it with the paw and swimming around or whatever the cat was doing. Yeah, it was a good it was a fun video because you don't normally see stuff like that. I don't think you're talking about a positive attitude. I think you're... Oh, he sneezed. Does he have COVID too? I think at this point, now that it's in my house, I'd rather just get the immunity. Cat videos on the internet? Yeah. I think they have cat videos for like everything. Like cat versus this, that, or anything else. Yeah, natural immunity, it's stronger, lasts longer, and all of that. It's usually best. No, it's the cats. Sometimes I get fur in my nose or something. No, I have mild cat allergies. I never thought that I did, but I'll wake up in the morning and just be like, my nose will just be dripping, like, because my wife has a favorite cat, and that favorite cat gets to sleep in the bed. It's not every morning. It's not every morning. We can come and go. You know, I would like for that to go. I don't recall that ever being a thing before. Hyperallergenic cats. Hey, maybe we can genetically engineer one. Removed from the cat. Well, I think most people, it's probably the oil from their skin. Like if you get that in your eye, or the hair, dander. That's funny. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Are we talking about like a hairless cat? Those cats are ugly. I don't care who you are. I mean, I don't see how you could look at a naked cat and be like, that's a cute cat. I want to spend some time petting the naked cat. It sounds dirty. I got 4 cats. 4. We took in number 4 because, once again, a cat shows up on our doorstep that's mostly dead. Mostly dead cat. It's like, alright. Let's take the cat in. Hey Jimbo, welcome in. Yeah, the Dr. Evil cat is careless. Mr. Bigglesworth. Yeah. If I raised one from a kitten, I would like it. Maybe. Yeah, you might as well pet your arm. Probably be softer since it has hair. Okay. Bottom left corner, NES. What is the game in the bottom left corner? There's a lot of games in the bottom left corner. Are we talking this one? No, you at the bottom left corner. Here. Jeopardy. Jeopardy's in the bottom. Above that is Trojan, Renegade, Rampage, Xevious. That's going up. I think over 200. I don't have them in alphabetical order. I mean, picture this. I mainly bought this just for appearances. I rarely use them unless there's an issue. Like when I played Metroid, I played with the cart because do I really want to go down that rabbit hole and talk about the uninitialized RNG related memory addresses in the RAM? and how the playing it with an EverDrive actually fixes a good pattern. Just screen it. Yeah, you don't need this. You don't need that. Well, I mean, I had thought about doing the yeah. You know, much to my chagrin, several years ago, I was on Twin Galaxies having conversations with people about whether or not, yeah, I guess 240, I forget. I was talking about why would a person have to say that they did their gaming performance on an EverDrive, because it does everything perfect, right? I didn't know more as much about it as I do now, and even then there's still things to learn for sure. But the argument was, if anything ever comes out about the EverDrive, then, you know, we can kind of backtrack and we can see who did theirs on an EverDrive and put it in an emulator track or whatnot. I wasn't in a huge favor with that. And I think not because of the principle of thing, because anytime I posted anything anywhere for like speedrunning, I always said I did an EverDrive if I used the EverDrive. I like the convenience of going back and forth between practice and the game. On a stack? Well, actually, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves here. 4 shelves. You guys want to see my favorite NES game art? My NES cart. Where is it? This is my favorite. Right there. Right there. Mega Man 2. No, you get what you get. You get what you get. That's no gold cards? I think I still do. I don't think anybody's beaten my time on Roger Rabbit. I mean, it's beatable. I mean, somebody did a task using my route, and they made an adjustment that saved 2 to 4 seconds. It's not something I'm interested in grinding out. And once again, I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole trying to explain PPU, CPU alignment, RNG tracks, and required resets. Yeah, it was really good art. Oh, you're talking about the Mega Man 2 art? I think I might know what you're talking about. I don't see any gold card Zelda and Zelda 2. You're right. I don't have Zelda, but I do have the Zelda 2. Dang, my cat just made a really funky noise. Are you alright down there? I did have Zelda at one point. I sold it when I wanted to get an EverDrive. I sold all my NES games to buy the EverDrive. It was a good trade in my mind. Yeah, Mega Man 1 just doesn't seem super good. What do I think about RNG manipulation? Um, I mean, all of my NES performances required RNG manipulation. I was fine with it. Now, that's not a bad question. Most of you may know Tom Badava. He was in a way, I think ahead of his time and ahead of the pack when it comes to like NES game point performances and early speed runs. And he used to have the world record. He had a long-standing, like 11-year world record or something like that in Roger Rabbit. But then I came along and beat it by a lot, like 2 or 3 minutes, something crazy. And I talked to him about it. Like, he's not in favor of RNG manipulation. He thinks you should just take a random state and just go with it. But of all the different types of things that have come out in speedrunning, I do share Tom's concern when it comes to like what happened to the NES speedrun. Okay, the NES Castlevania speedrun. Sorry, Castlevania 1. What they recently did is they took the most broken ROM version of the game and just started breaking it and doing sections and faster and glitching them, doing some weird stuff. I kind of get that the game wasn't going to be driven down much more on its own, so they probably thought maybe we should just open it up. But at the same time, I share Tom's concern on breaking the game like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I did the any percent for Strider. It was fun and it was fine. But I still played through the game as it was intended to be played through, and did a speed run of that. Mainly, it was just a deathless performance, but I tried to do it fairly quick. With that said, I don't like to see a lot of game breaking that way. But I do like the ingenuity that goes into what I did with Family Feud. That was fun. That was interesting. With Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Paperboy. Some new groundbreaking strats and analysis and stuff. Those were very fun contributions, and there's probably other games out there that can be like that. So when it comes to RNG manipulation, I'm fine with, just knowing the game well enough that if I do this, if I do that, I'm going to get these results. I think that's just part of knowing the limitations of the game. I think I still think it fits the spirit of the game. I still think it fits the game's intent. You're just finding how to make it work. Looking at the code and stuff like that. I'll get to that in a second so I can catch up with some other stuff. Yeah, I don't know if I want to buy any more NES games though. Worried about the addictive nature of speedrunning. The kind of wasting life. Okay, I'll get to that. I'll get that in a second. Just so I can build upon what I've said so far about how the game was originally meant to be played. Now, I am an originalist when it comes to playing retro games. All right, so I have original hardware behind me. Okay, I only played on MAME because I didn't have the machines. But when I got the machines, I played exclusively on the machines because I wanted to play original hardware. That is something that was important to me, for things to be original hardware. And I think that's like King of Kong and Twin Galaxy stuff, you know, and the classical arcade gaming kind of crafted that mentality. But like when it comes, like, I'm willing to play with the EverDrive as long as I know there's not an issue with it. Like with Metroid, I wouldn't use the EverDrive or Power Pack or anything like that for Metroid and some other games if I know that there can be an issue with it. Same thing with Cybernoid, and that's just off the top of my head. So original controllers, original, like I wouldn't accept an HDMI modded NES for speedrun. Slows down the CPU anyways. It's not to a person's benefit. But I'm okay with people looking at code, seeing how it works. I mean, you have to consider this. Yes, the code wasn't like readily available necessarily for people playing the game initially, but there's been quite a few things I've figured out in games that didn't require having to look in code. And in fact, now, what I will say is looking at code while you're playing the game, I think that's a big no-no. For instance, people could play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES, and when they press start on the title screen, you could know instantly what the Technodrome location is, and if it's not in the quickest, most ideal position, you could do a reset. So I think that's an advantage. So what they would have to do is either just allow everybody to do it, but that's on, like, how would you figure that out with console? Maybe you could get that information by connecting things to your console that might display outcomes, or you know, what values and a certain memory address. But I'm not really in favor of those sorts of things. If everybody can do it, then it's like, okay, we're just trying to streamline any percent. People don't have to participate under those conditions if they don't want to. But I wouldn't be in favor of that either, right? I just don't. I'm not in favor of that. All right, so there's you can completely break Zelda 3. The RNG lock in Chip 'n Dale. You know, I'm kind of okay with that too. Just wait for the demo to start and then play. Okay, I guess. All it does is fix the RNG on the bosses, so everything's the same for everybody all the time. So people can just streamline it, you know. And it's in the game, you know. It's part of. You could push start after the demo starts. So I don't know. I wouldn't fuss about that. Now, what about the addictive nature of speed running? I think there is an addictive nature to a lot of things right now. Social media is like that as well. Some of you might be happy to know that I'm no longer on any social media. Not on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of those things. I still have a Discord account. There's a few Discord channels I'm in, but I don't really participate a lot in those. I do have my YouTube channel, where I put my videos, but if people start talking crap, I can delete their comments easy enough, so I don't get like sucked into a bad conversation or something like that. All it takes is a conversation or two, and then it's just like, oh, another person attacking me for this, another person attacking me for that. Do I want to bother with this? And then you spend 10-15 minutes typing something out, and it's just draining, because it's not even a good faith conversation. You know what I'm talking about? When you're talking to a good-natured person, a person who actually contemplates what you're saying and tries to engage the content, the substance of your argument. It's more about the intellectual journey that you go on together towards mutual understanding, and it's just a conversation among friends, and it doesn't devolve into people being driven by their base passions and they're just lashing out. There's a difference between preaching the gospel and casting your pearls before swine, and you need to know the difference. Some people are all they want to do is talk at you, and other people, you can have very enriching conversations, even if you disagree with everything they said. Maybe they added depth to an idea, that you disagree with. You looked at it from a new angle, or there could be benefits to conversations, but that's not the kind of stuff that you normally get. That's the toxicity of it, and it does just drain your soul. It completely it's not even good. And like, let's just talk about Twitter for example. You could post something, and as long as you have you don't get a lot of exposure, as long as you have one person who can get 20, 30, 40, 50 people to look at it too, who all dislike it, and they're like, oh, you've been ratioed. Like, okay, if everybody saw this tweet, it would probably be more like this. It's not a good representation of reality at all. It's like taking all the blue check marks on Twitter and thinking that this is a fair representation of the diversity of thought in America. Like, what percentage of the population actually uses Twitter? 20, 25? I mean, it's not a good representation. And if you're only being fed with the loudest voices, that's another component. Some people are more passive and they don't put themselves out there a lot. So what you're getting is you're only getting the people who are willing to use the platform, and then you're getting just the ones who are the most vocal, and then you're getting the ones that have the most exposure, and usually it's the loud, crying, screaming progressives. And then they would want you to think that this is the whole thing, right? This is what America is, or something like that, and it's not. Some people, say things to me like, the whole retro community wants you out or something. I'm like, what are you talking about? What is a retro community, right? It's just so narrow. It's just a really loud progressive faction, in a sense, that just annoying and demanding. That's all it is. you know. Right, the Pope gets ratioed, and I'm pretty sure he has. He has said things that have caused more problems than good. Yeah. But yeah, the toxicity, you see, the thing is that those who are the loudest, right? Those who are the most vocal, they are the ones who are crafting the narrative. They're the ones that are directing the direction of conversation. You know, they're the ones that paint the picture of what the original post means with rhetoric. You know, I've had situations where people were learning more about the original post from people commenting on it than from the original post itself. And then they start echoing, they start repeating things that were said in the comments and start reading those back into the original post. And it's like, you're working with so many people here that don't know basic interpretive skills and who are very easily swayed in their perceptions of things because they don't spend quality time with it, nor do they really want to, because as soon as they think that a comment is contrary to their convictions, right? As soon as it's contrary to their convictions, they stop listening. They become uncharitable and they start interpreting things in the least charitable way possible. That's horrible. That's horrible. You know? So I think like different things can be addicting if there are aspects of affirmation. Like when somebody gets a like on your video. Like some of my videos, you know, people, I don't know, they just wake up in the morning, they see if I have any new videos so they can dislike them. Like, seriously? That's what you want to do with your time? But yeah, so yeah, there's an addictive nature in gaming. Mobile games, they want your money, all kinds of different stuff like that. You know what I mean? In Spanish, please. No hablo español. There's your Spanish. It feels like XP in like a role-playing game. Yeah. As long as a person feels affirmed enough. And I'm not saying there's anything necessarily or intrinsically wrong with affirmation, you know. I mean, I could go weeks just listening to like Michael Knowles and Ben Shapiro and folks like that, you know, and you know, there's, I guess you'd say there's something affirming about that because there's some camaraderie, there's a shared perspective, and it's nice to kind of hear your own voice coming out of other people's mouths, so to speak. It's kind of nice to know that you're not alone and how how you're understanding things, interpreting things. But then it ends up being like completely draining, and that's one thing about social media I don't like, is that you can't always control the type of content you're being exposed to, you know. So I don't know, it's just it's just hard constantly being told otherwise, you know what I mean? It's just draining intellectually and emotionally. But, you know, thankfully we can choose not to use social media, so we don't have to worry about any of those types of things, so do we? No. The news is terrible for that. Did you see that photo of Larry Elder with his hand over that woman's face? With his hand over a woman's face? No, I didn't. I didn't see any hand over a woman's face image or video or anything. But I no doubt that, when a person enters into politics, everybody who doesn't like your policies are going to cast you as the devil. Believe me, I know what defamation is. I've been subject to smear campaigns and defamation and everything else. You'll have people who were your friends for years, and as soon as they don't like something that you think, you're the devil. Like, really? Like, how did you get okay, whatever. I don't, is this just a game? Yeah, let's just abandon all our friendships, yeah. Michael Knowles angers you, huh? Such a propagandist, totally shameless, even if it's generally for the side I agree with. You think he's a propagandist? Do you have like an example of I mean, I have an example, I think, of what you might mean, but I'm interested in what you would say, right? Right, yeah, social creatures. Yeah, it's fair enough. That makes sense. Yeah, it works that way. I think it goes both ways, Baller. It's I think there's something draining about being the only person in the room that might think something, and then have everybody else attack you for it. That peer pressure, I think, I don't know. For some reason, people think that a person's going to change their mind because they're bullied. Like, really? Do you think I think what I think? Because I'm just parroting something with no substance, no rational argumentation, right? This is a firm intellectual commitment that I've come to as the result of study, careful study. And you think that you're going to bully me out of not thinking that? That doesn't work that way. In fact, it makes your position look weak. Because whether you, even though you're trying to maybe scare an idea out of somebody, maybe you're assuming that they haven't put much thought into it, and that just through a little coercion or intimidation, they're going to change their mind. They're going to pivot immediately. What it demonstrates is that you don't have anything better to offer, right? Is this your best? You can't convince a person with argumentation, so you resort to uncharitable behavior. It doesn't say a lot about your position, even if it can be defended, if that is your initial approach. It also makes you out to appear uncharitable, and it actually makes your position look less attractive. The thing is, and I've argued this before. By people acting uncharitable towards other people, it actually associates your own uncharitable behavior with the ideas behind it, even if the ideas may even be good. Just the association that is formed in that moment, that it turns you off. It does. It just turns you off. Now it just carries this baggage, this relational emotional baggage, and so it can be hard now. It's even harder to argue that person into a certain perspective. You're damaging your cause. All you're doing is reinforcing the opposite. It's not very wise at all. It lacks wisdom. But unfortunately, that's the sort of stuff that people end up dealing with here. Hey Dixos, welcome in. I gotta catch up here a little bit. I get talking, and then you guys get talking, and then I'm like 10 minutes behind. I'm not 10 minutes behind, but you know what I mean. That's overstatement. When someone said a lot of immigrants are more American than Americans, yeah, like what does that mean, right? They obviously meant in spirit, but he made it sound like they were saying citizenship. That's an odd example. Okay, you're talking about Knowles, but the first one that really stuck out to me, when someone said a lot of immigrants are more American than Americans. It sound like they were saying citizenship. You know, I think I recall him saying something like this. And I think what he was doing, he was juxtaposing the American who has citizenship, who is who isn't patriotic. They're constantly painting America in the worst possible light. You know, constantly speaks of racism and patriarchy and capitalism and, you know, all this other stuff, just tearing it all down, just tearing it all down. And then you have people who want to leave communist regimes, and they want to come to the United States because they want to flee tyranny, you know, and also have more freedoms and maybe pursue the American dream, have their own businesses, and, you know, have a family and a safer environment, you know, free from the coercion of government. Maybe he was looking at that. I don't know. I don't remember the context, but I remember him saying something like that. But I was thinking more relevance next time listening to a show. Sure, you know, the Shame Brigade. So many want to belong to the cool kids group so badly, the slightest friction and they topple. A pandemic of weakness. Here, let me read your other. My friends of 35 years tried this on me at a recent outing, and it's like, you should know me better than that. You can't convince me with emotion, unless it's 100% emotional issue, huh? Right. Yes, so... So, thankfully, I actually don't know a lot of people. Like, at work, I think I see 8 people. Even though it's a big company. And I only work with 3. And most of the time I work by myself. So I don't And especially since I'm not on social media anymore, unless you count this and YouTube. But yeah, basically anytime people try to guilt me through like posts and stuff in the past and whatnot, I instantly just, that's not going to work. I don't respond to manipulation like that. That's not what friends do. There are people who actually do want to have dialogues. If I say or do something that people don't like, yeah, they do. They like to come together and they want to just trash on you. And like, oh, okay, well, you guys did me an incredible favor. None of you my friends. Because none of them actually want to have a conversation. Every now and then you'll have one or two in there, but it's in such a crappy thread and environment that it's just hostile. It's like walking into a room and you're the only person who has this perspective, and you got 10 or 15 people around you and they're all mad at you. Yeah, there's not going to be a constructive conversation going on. It's just not. Not only will, the one person be in like fight or flight mode, so they're not reasoning very well. It's not like they prepared for a one-on-one debate in an auditorium, where you get 7 minutes, they get 7 minutes, and you have your cross-examination and your rebuttals and your question and answer time. It's anybody can talk over you, in that moment, and it basically just comes to 10 to 15 people just venting on the one person. It's like, none of you are my friends. I'm not going to cast my pearls before swine. I'm not going to take the time to give you my best thoughts on this subject, because it's from the get-go. You're wrong. You're wrong. The party is always right. You're just wrong, right? You might not be wrong. I'm into that. That's something that's objective or not. But no. That's why I tell people that it's a violation of human dignity to try to bully, coerce, intimidate people into ideas. Ideas are ideas. They're formed through contemplation, thought through over time, have been fine-tuned. It's nuanced. There's a lot of distinctions to be made, terms to define. It takes time to distill a person's perspective to have a healthy dialogue. There's no time for that in these environments. So these environments are very bad for that, because they don't naturally facilitate the kind of open dialogue, mutual understanding. So it's just not healthy. It's not productive. It just turns into a bunch of people venting at you and talking at you. And the one can't accomplish anything in this kind of environment. And so they should just walk out of the room. Everybody will feel affirmed in themselves, even if You know, even though they're going to take all their ideas to hell with them, they can think what they want. They can have pride in all what they want, but it has nothing to do with me. Yeah. But you know how that stuff is. A while back, Nick said, nothing to make you believe Christianity is false like false Christians. Shouldn't be the way we reason, but it is. Is it even a matter of reasoning at that point? So let's say, and I'll frame it this way: you don't want to judge a philosophy, right? Whether it be like classical theism or atheism or anything in between and everywhere else, based on the worst adherence to it, you know. So if you have a certain philosophy, or like I'm Catholic, so the teachings of the Catholic Church, the moral teachings on things, you know, if I'm the worst example of living those out, you wouldn't want to use me as an example for what the church teaches, for example. That's just not how that works. You can't judge a system of thought based on the worst adherents. You look at the best adherents to them. Look at some of the saints throughout the years. You know, read their writings. You know, learn about their lives. If you really want to know the impact that a philosophy can have on people, examine the lives of those who were really committed to it, you know. But there's also the, you know, if, you know, when I was growing up, I had a really bad experience with a person who said they were this or thought that, and it really turned me off for a lot of years, and I didn't want to hear about it. It kind of reminds me of, I've heard it before, where the parent was really controlling and really overbearing, you know, and maybe they used the notion of God to really browbeat the person and to manipulate them, and eventually they get to the point where it's like, you know, they're not living at home anymore. The father or mother doesn't have that kind of influence on them anymore, and they have their own friends and work environments and stuff, and they're just tired of hearing about God because it was misused, you know. It was couched in an abusive parental relationship. And so that, I wouldn't say it's a matter of reasoning as much as it is the psychological baggage that ends up being dragged along with it. It gets attached to it, so to speak. So you kind of develop like a disdain for it, an aversion. And that's kind of unfortunate, especially if it's something really good. It's kind of like not saying you don't like grapes, and you didn't try grapes for a long time because you tried a grape when you were a kid and you got one of those really sour ones, you know. Just by chance, you just got the sourest grape you could possibly eat, and you're like, I hate grapes, you know. Let's see. I'm way behind. Oh, the masks. So the three ladies came out of the grocery store shocked that other people weren't wearing masks. Well, I mean, let's be honest. Like, what kind of mask are you wearing? Is it an N95? Are you changing it every day? If not, then, I mean, what is the level of effectiveness of one of these surgical masks or a cloth mask or a neck gaiter? You know, let's be honest. Does it help? Does it not help? You know, does it only mitigate 10% of the time? You know, there's a lot of questions that go into that stuff. You know, since I know that my son has COVID, for example, you know, we have him wear a mask and we wear masks around him just in case there's 10% effectiveness. It's not the best mitigating factor, but if there's any measure of mitigation taking place in our environment, being quarantined with him for 2 weeks, okay, that seems reasonable enough. It's one of the precautions we could take. So, but in public, it's just different now, A lot of the stuff is just spun in such a horrible way, and sometimes, like Biden, when he talked a few days ago, and he's talking about how we need to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated. Like, seriously? Is the vaccine effective or is it not? Then don't tell me that. There's just these mixed signals and double talk, and people's confidence in like Fauci and Biden and others is just not very high among some people. It's just not very high. Wanted to prime his audience to dislike the speaker. Yeah, I don't recall what Knowles was responding to there. But I mean, like, the example I was thinking about is when every time he talks about the what's it called, what was supposed to be a peaceful protest at the why is my brain, oh yeah, I'm tired, that's why. Congress Hall, I don't know why I can't remember the Senate chamber. I can't remember. But anyways, like every time that's brought up, he's always talking about, what you mean, the guy with the horns, and the guy who had his feet on Pelosi's desk, and the other guy who like stole the Pelosi's lectern. It's you can tell in the way he's saying it that there's some downplaying that's actually going on in how he's like casting it, and I get that, I hear that, and I'm like, I give him a pass, because maybe it's hyperbole or something, maybe he's just overstating it. Because it's often so overly stated the other way, maybe he's overcorrecting, so I'm willing to give him a pass on it, because I know he's a really smart guy. So I guess I don't tend to see what he's doing as like he's being intellectually dishonest. Maybe he just needs to give more thought to it, or you can tell I'm a fan. See, I'm willing to be charitable. I'm not making excuses. I'm just, maybe there's more to it than that. So, but you see, if you like a person, if you share some camaraderie with them, he's a conservative, I'm a conservative. He's a Catholic, I'm a Catholic. He goes to the Latin Mass, I go to the Latin Mass. I guess I'm willing to like look at those things a little bit differently. Not that he can do no wrong, but I'm not arguing that he's only doing right either. I think you get my point, I'm sure. Um, hey, Mr. Two. I don't know if you're still here. I've been rambling, and you messaged a while ago. But wise decision getting off social media. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, like I don't like listen to the news. All right. I do listen to Fox sometimes, but mainly my source of information is like Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro. I do listen to Matt Walsh sometimes. I really like Liz Wheeler. Sometimes I listen to Ali Stuckey. Steven Crowder. I love Steven Crowder. His show can get a little raunchy sometimes with some of the jokes and stuff like that. I've heard that Dave Rubin is good. I've seen him as well, but I don't watch any of his stuff. I haven't seen Candace Owens do a lot of stuff recently, but I think she's just doing her show. But I have a Gab phone now, so it's a dumb phone. So like when I'm at work, I can't even access the internet. I can't do email with it. It has no web browser. It's just dumb, right? I text with it, but I can download the audio file of YouTube videos, and I would put that on my phone, and I can listen to it at work with my Bluetooth earbud. That's been great, but I haven't been able to listen to any of Candace Owens stuff because she doesn't put her show. You have to be a subscriber to the Daily Wire, which I am, but I haven't figured out how to download the video. Maybe there's a way of doing it. I don't know, but if I can even get the MP4, I can convert it to MP3. I have a program to do that. So, but yeah, I like my dumb phone. The Gab phone. No, come here. Say hello to Murray. Oh, you like that, don't you? Oh, you like that, huh? You like that, huh? You like that? You like that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can sit right there. So, yeah, I don't know if we can see this. That's all I got on there. Video, audio, phone, calendar, calculator. I went with the Gab phone because before I got the phone, I wanted to see if it could be hacked, because part of getting the phone was also looking for a phone for my kids when they get older. I have one that's almost in high school, and he still doesn't have a phone. So part of it was to investigate, could somebody hack this and put new apps on it? Could you put the ATK files on it and find an installer app to do that? And originally you could, but they updated the phone, and now you can't access the developer tools to enable the USB debugging to be able to do any of that stuff. So I did some research on it. It doesn't have maps on it. Some people would prefer they would have maps, but it's been a good phone. I've been enjoying it. There's no internet. Right? Yeah, Nick, just one last word on Knowles there, because you mentioned him again. Yeah, definitely, if you run into an example I definitely want to talk to you about it, because if there's something that you're seeing that I'm not, and it's there and I'm just missing it, I definitely want to be able to, to take a look at that. Maybe I'm being overly charitable, right? So, yeah. Versus when they're offering contradictory arguments but don't call each other on it. Probably a good context there. I remember arguing with two guys about Stephen Law's evil God argument for like 5 hours. One guy was saying Stephen Law wasn't giving the argument. The other was saying Stephen Law was right in the argument. They wouldn't even acknowledge that they disagreed with each other because they just wanted Stephen Law to be right. Really? There does seem to be, like, I've had to ask myself this question. Anyone who spends enough time in philosophy or politics, culture, stuff like that, are eventually going to have to ask themselves the question of, do I want this to be true? Or am I really convinced by the evidence or rational arguments for the position? Or are you afraid that the opposing view is correct and you're doing everything that you can to avoid it, you have to be honest with yourself about that. Now, neither tells you, like, if someone says, oh yeah, I once thought that, but then I realized I only thought that because I wanted it to be a true, or I didn't like the opposing position, but I know better now, and none of that means that the idea that you had was actually bad. It just meant that you held to the view for other reasons than that you the best evidence, the best probability, right? The best rational demonstrations favored that particular view, Yeah, that's definitely true. Mr. 2 says that's the new world's inability to look at research and use their own heads, as proven fully by MSM in the last 18 months. When it comes to like CNN and MSNBC and some of these places, it's Ben Shapiro often points out, look at this, how does he say the word? The journalism. The journalism? I don't know. He tries to turn journalism into like a verb of some sort. And he's like, there's just gooey, sticky journalism like all over the place. I like the way he says it. It's just funny. But his point is, has journalism kind of lost some of its, values? Has the news or a particular news outlet just become a propaganda machine for the Democratic Party? Where most things that Biden does is gold and everything that Trump ever did is evil. And it's like, really? You think you're going to lose ratings? I think people want kind of like the best information. I think people are looking for information, but there's a difference between sharing information the best that you can in the most objective manner possible, and trying to spin a narrative, you know, which can be difficult to do because, you know, there's, you know, a person said this or a person did that. Okay, that's all I need to know. I'll take it from there. Thank you very much. But instead you get, they said this, they meant this, and or they did that, and what that really means, and you know, they just try to paint it a certain way, and it's like, I think that kind of doesn't do justice to the event. It doesn't do justice to people listening to the information, because you gotta have a filter on, and then you're not quite sure, am I getting information, like decent information here, or am I just getting something, how to spin it? Well, I mean, not listening to those news outlets would be good. That's why the ratings are going down, you know. And don't get me wrong, Fox isn't perfect either, you know. Fox is more right wing, you know. In fact, there's people who work for Fox that are like, no, I like Juan on the 5, for instance. He works for Fox, but like on that show, when he shows up, he's just like a punching bag. I don't know how he deals with it. To sit at the table with Greg Gutfeld and Jesse Waters and expect that, you know, Juan's position is not going to be like bruised and bloodied by the end of the 10-minute clip, you know. It's just funny, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm so stubborn and dumb that even if conclusive evidence is presented, they rage and just say something like, I'm done not talking about it anymore. So some people can, but I think, you know, maybe people give up on conversations more quickly because they have so many bad experiences conversing with people, either because they themselves are rather overbearing and they're just unpleasant to speak with, or they've just had a lot of bad experiences with overbearing people who are not being charitable and just, so, you know, I don't consider myself to be overbearing, but I think I have a pretty good gauge on who is and is not good-natured. You know, you can kind of tell when you enter into a conversation, you know. So, all right, have a good night, Nick. Let me catch up on. Yeah, I'll catch up to your stuff, but. Had an experience with a person who is defending abortion the other day. She kept raising terrible points, and I kept addressing her points. She couldn't respond, so she just accused me of hating her. You know, let's talk about that for a second. This people throw around this word hate a lot, right? You're hating on people, or like, if you disagree, I don't know how people started using this term, and it's mainly from progressives that I've heard the term being used this way. If you say something that a person disagrees with, they become offended and say you're hating them. Now, That seems strange to me. That's not. I think of like loving a person being willing the good of the other, and I would think of, an act of hate would be something that wills the worst for a person. You're actually willing it, and by will I mean it's something you're actually doing or saying. Now, for some reason, a person will say, if you say something contrary to me, then you're hating me. It's really awkward, and I don't know if it, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, they're thinking, I was thinking, are they conceptualizing who they are as a product of all of their thoughts? Like if they think of themselves, right? When you look at the philosophy of identity, for example, the who and what they are, if they think of themselves as the sum total of all their thoughts and feelings, all their inclinations and ideations, then maybe they are identifying their ideas and their thought with the core of their being, so to speak. So that when you say something to them that's contrary to what they're thinking, they think that you're actually attacking them. Because they've owned the idea so much. And by own, I mean not just that you've taken up the argument and you're passionate about it and you have strong intellectual commitment, but in the sense that me and the idea are indistinguishable. If you critique the idea, you're critiquing me. Or they have an idea about how they define themselves, their anthropology, how they conceptualize human nature, the language, the terms, the definitions, the concepts they use to understand what is human. If you challenge if you say any of those ideas are bad, they'll say, you're attacking me. And I think that's fundamentally wrong. I don't think a person is the sum total of their thoughts and their feelings. And I don't think that a person who maintains a certain anthropology should take personally somebody who does not share the same philosophy, right? Who don't think of themselves in the same terms, don't use the same ideas, don't express it in the same words. But really trying to grapple with and untangle what a person is saying and why they're saying it and the context in which it's couched. There's usually so much there that's different than another person thinks. It's actually difficult to even understand what they're even trying to say. That's like the language that they use. You got to deconstruct it. You have to get under it. And that stuff takes time. It's difficult to have a dialogue with something like that. And sometimes I wonder that people internalize this stuff so much that if you critique their ideas, it reminds me of what my English professor said in college. He had each of us read each other's papers and give critique. But he warned us. He said, this is a person's brainchild, so be easy on them. you know. And basically what he's saying is, you know, when a person does critique another person's work in literature, given the amount of effort and time that they've put into it, that it reflects themselves, right? It's like, for them, in part, it's the text is an outgrowth or a reflection of their inner life, their inner contemplation, the inner machinations of their mind, so to speak, you know, splayed across parchment. Yeah, I can see how a person could take offense if you're critiquing the work, you know, even if you're subjecting it to basic like grammar and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess it can be difficult. Hey, thanks, Smaller. God bless you as well. Let's see, where was I? So yeah, I guess when it comes down to like what Nick was saying about this experience he had in conversing with somebody concerning his position on abortion, that topic can be very emotionally charged for people, very emotionally charged on both sides. People can become emotionally charged. Hey, good evening, Dragon Soul. Second shift work tonight, huh? Nah, that's okay. I will do my best to stream more often. I'm quarantined right now for the next 14 days at least. And I still have at least 2 7-day vacations that I can use this year. So hopefully I do. Hopefully I do. I'm on nights now, so the wife and kids are sleeping. So I can come down here and talk. And most of the time people stop by and talk. I mean, usually I'm sitting here for 30 minutes by myself, but I more often than not, you know, people stop by and we start talking. Let's see, try to get caught up here. Late trains. Not sure what that means. Patients are running thin. The example I gave you was years old. Oh, okay. Yeah, you can whisper me anything, that's fine. Sounds like you couldn't win no matter what you said. Some people's minds are made up. It's finito. You know, I once had a person tell me, because I disagreed with them, that I was being closed-minded. Now, that doesn't follow, right? That's a non sequitur. I was listening. The thing is that in their mind, if I was not agreeing with them, well, I obviously couldn't have an open mind, right? So they said that I had a closed mind. I thought that kind of be odd. Now, don't mistake my convictions for closed-mindedness. See, you want to have an open mind so that you can learn new things, but you don't want your mind so open that everything falls out of it. You know what I mean? You need to be able to study, question, re-question. You know, you do want to have like a healthy skepticism, so to speak, but you don't want to be so skeptical that you ultimately don't have any conviction at all. In fact, I don't recall who said it, but skepticism has utility only in as much as it leads to conviction. We do want to learn things. We do want to come to firm perspectives. We want evidence. We want rational demonstration. Certainly. But if someone comes up to you and they offer you a couple arguments, and they say, argument 1, 2, and 3. And I say, I don't think argument 1 works because, I make a distinction between this and that. I don't think argument 2 works because I just haven't seen enough evidence for that. Argument 3 doesn't work because I don't think that your conclusion follows from the premise. I don't think your syllogism is valid. And if they say, well, you're just being closed-minded, it's like, no, I'm engaging you. If there's something there, right? If the argument has the force within itself to press upon my intellect, it isn't that I won't perceive it, right? If it's there, I will chew on it. If the notion grows, then I'll entertain it. But if it doesn't seem to challenge me enough, I'm going to be unchanged in my convictions. In fact, I would argue that a person should not give in so quickly. If a person changes their mind so quickly, they probably weren't very convinced in the first place. It's not a good sign for a person to change their mind on things so quickly, so easily. I would respect a person more if they fought for their idea. You need to fight for your idea. Ultimately, your idea might lose. All right? I've had good ideas, I've had bad ideas. Yeah, you get rid of the bad ideas, yeah. And it's just, we just need to be intellectually honest with ourselves on stuff, and just be willing to work through the process. Be willing to admit that one is wrong. I mean, the notion of hanging on to your first impression or your first idea on any subject is just ridiculous. Education is the process by which we examine and re-examine such things. Look at new information to see if it applies, and then integrate it into your learning and into your ideas. But we need to use critical thinking to see if we even need to integrate it into our learning. It may not be relevant. Maybe the information is not accurate. I mean, you need to work with the material for a while. Until you got a decent grasp of it. I think sometimes people can dismiss things too easily simply because it does not yet fit with what they're thinking. All right. Still here. Well, it's back. We're talking about. I've got a gaming question. All right, Mr. 2. Sorry, I'm always so far behind. Always so far behind, and it looks like you might not be here anymore. But I'll answer it anyways in case you check out the VOD. Versus balloon fight. You ever gone for a high score in it? I have not. A balloon fight is one of those games that haven't interested me. I have not been interested in that game. Not even from a speedrun perspective. Which I think I saw Andrew G playing that once. But I don't think he went for a high score on it though. But you can always check Twin Galaxies. Can't have pets in your current place. A 20-year-old cat? Wow, that kind of makes me wonder what the oldest cat is. Not alive, but what's the oldest a cat has been observed and documented? Yeah, journalisming. That's just an interesting word. Journalisming. Everywhere. Sticky, gooey journalisming everywhere. Just covered in it. California. Alright, so consoles. Currently there is 3.2 million votes to recall. But 5.2 million votes for alternate candidates. How? Maybe not everybody's voting to recall. Is this the same ballot? Maybe some people were undecided? Oh, I see what you're saying, consoles. If 5.2 million people are voting for an alternate candidate, how can you do that unless Newsom is recalled, right? That's interesting. Was the election today? Did Larry Elder win? I actually don't know a lot of his Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So Mr. Two brought up an interesting idea. We all know. And what we know is that I heard something about how the ballots, right? So maybe ballots for the recall, like there you could see whether or not they voted yes or no, and then the people could throw them out. Right? That's a bad hand gesture, sorry. That makes sense. That makes sense. Maybe they were thrown out like that. But let's see. Alright, you could vote no and select a replacement. Vote no and go. Yeah, 81 million votes for Newsom. Juan is a patient man. Yeah, sure is. I won't even beat around the bush. This country is now banging on about giving kids the very same thing to protect elderly because it supposedly didn't work on the elderly. The stupidity, corruption is beyond words. Yeah. Like, I heard, and so that people don't accuse me of fake news or misinformation, you can look into it further. Alright? You can always look into it further. You don't take my word for it. But that teen boys were more 6 times more likely to develop a heart condition by taking the vaccine than they would being harmed by the virus itself. I heard that a few times. Is it true? Is it not true? Do your research. Go find out. But yeah, I mean, I also heard like the average age of somebody who has died from COVID is like 82 or something like that. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. And Ben Shapiro would tell you this as well. He looks at all the stats, reads all the CDC stuff, and keeps up on everything. There's the statistics, the data, just does not support giving vaccines to all the kids. And it wasn't long ago that both Fauci and Biden said, we didn't need to do this. But then they were worried. Yeah, but the Delta variant, that's affecting more kids. Is it? Has the rate gone up? Do your research. Take a look. See what you can find out. This science. She blinded me with science. I don't have any tips for the high score stuff on Balloon Fight. Yeah, it does come down to that. So how to win abortion argument. Just say the baby is a virus and must be eliminated. You know what's interesting is some have characterized a baby as a parasite. As a parasite. Bad characterization, but that has been used perhaps for no other reason than the child is actually gaining nutrients from the mother, fallopian tube. So they're saying the baby is leeching off the mother. It's a parasitic relationship. It's all take. It's all take. Ivermectin's good for parasites. The new abortion drug, ivermectin. Get rid of your parasite today. Baby is not a parasite. It's a different kind of relationship, no matter how people try to spin it. Reproduction, your offspring, the dependence that your offspring has upon you does not constitute the same type of parasitic relationship where you have a foreign entity. Foreign, all right? Not something that you would naturally see within a womb. That's the product of the natural, expected processes within a woman's reproductive system. It's altogether different. There's distinctions. Well, a parasite, takes. A baby takes. Therefore, the baby is a parasite. No, there's bad argument. Very, very bad argument. That's not how that works. So consuls were saying, if the numbers are correct, this means 2 million voters submitted not to recall, but thought he might B, so those 2 million submitted an alternate just in case. Oh, that's true. That's true. Don't they have a system where... Let me think. Do they have like a secondary vote option? So let's say you have 3 candidates. And one person marked one candidate as their primary, but they ended up with like 2% of the vote. But their secondary, I don't know if they do this anywhere. You know, I thought I heard something like that, even if I can't recall the details. There was something to do with doing multiple voting, and it's kind of like a secondary or alternate, just in case. I don't recall. What have we come to? Oh, Baller, I sometimes think I've heard it all. I will say that I'm continue to be surprised, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. This stuff just gets worse and worse. Just gets worse and worse. Let's just redefine everything. Yeah, just a bundle of cells, just the product of conception. Never mind that you're speaking about a human being, that you're talking about human nature in embryonic form. Let's look at human nature and decide which form that human nature can be in and still justify killing it. Yeah. There's some relevance. The word millstone has some relevance here. The soul gets dismissed. Yeah. Undifferentiated stem cells. Yeah, but speaking of this topic, I'm actually, because I'm Catholic, I'm obviously upset with Joe Biden. Especially when Jen Psaki's up there and she's like, yeah, his Catholic faith is really important to him. He's a committed Catholic. And then I'm mad at the bishops for not saying anything. Gosh. Perfect example of a legitimate office, but just horrible people sitting there. I identify as a vaccinated person? Yeah, I don't remember who the guy was. But he went around and asked some people at a college campus, he's like a 6-foot white guy, and he asked people, like, what if I were to identify as a 5-foot China woman, and people were actually responding, be like, yeah, you could do that, go right ahead, I'd support you. Like, ideology can be a very, very dangerous thing. It's difficult for me to wrap my head around some of the things that float around in progressive circles. I'm all for people hashing out thought and considering ideas and stuff like that, but the effects on society, the effects on the human person that it can have. Some people might not like this example, but consider the trying to look for the right word. Basically, what the Nazi propaganda was, right? If I recall, it was the Aryan race, these German, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, particular traits being labeled as being more human. Now, you could see this being based in naturalism and evolutionary theory. You know what's scary about it? If naturalism is true, which I don't think it is, then ultimately there aren't necessarily objective moral truths, although some naturalists will say that objective moral truths still exist somehow. I haven't been convinced of their arguments. In that life is ultimately meaningless, right? Because there isn't like an overarching plan or purpose. Now, if all you have is this evolutionary perspective, don't you think that eventually somebody within that framework will propose cleansing gene pools as a moral imperative? That we owe this to humanity in the long run to execute the final solution? It gets kind of scary. I can see how he convinced people of this. I can see how people were convinced and executed this stuff. Executed the plan. I can see exactly how that ended up happening. Some people might think, man, that's such a horrible thing that happened. And it's just unbelievable that it's like within the last 100 years something like that has even happened. But it's a dangerous ideology. What happens when you remove meaning what happens when you remove a moral compass. And you frame this stuff in such a way that makes people think, wow, in 50 years from now, if we keep this up, you know, we might even be able to eradicate certain genetic anomalies and things like that. You know, certain things will occur anyways. And it kind of reminds me of what's happening even now. I forget what country it is. I don't know if it's like Norway or some other country said fairly recently that they had eradicated Down syndrome. And what they meant by that is through early detection, they aborted all the Down syndrome children, so none of them would be born. Extend that logic. Maybe you can even eradicate autism by just snuffing out the life of autistic children before they're born. Slaughtering an entire population before they see the light of day. Are people not seeing similarities here? All you have to do is justify doing that to people outside of the womb. And some have even done that. I don't remember if it was a senator or someone. It was a video. I think he was on like a radio show or something, and he was talking about how the child would be resuscitated after birth, right? Would be resuscitated if the mother wanted that. And even after that, a question would ensue between the mother and the doctor. The child would be kept comfortable. Talking about whether or not they would keep the child. Not talking about... listen, I am for choice. Abstinence. Adoption. I think that's it. I don't recall if there's any other options I could support. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm actually not surprised that with the eugenics movement and all the things that were, all the justifications that are made for slaughtering people, how we saw the Holocaust. It doesn't surprise me. You know why? Because that ideology still exists. And it's not the right-wing people, right, who want to ban abortion. It's the abortionists. Always it is with the progressives to blame the political adversaries with the thing that they are doing themselves. Deflect. Deny and deflect. Deny and deflect. Well, once you see that a few times, you catch on to the... You catch on to it. I don't think I've ever heard somebody refer to it as deny and deflect, but I guess that's as good as any. I probably have and just don't recall. I listen to so many things. Who knows where it came from? Yeah, etiology can be very dangerous. Is it pronounced ideology? Etiology? How is it pronounced? I've heard it said both ways. Maybe there's just alternate pronunciations, like an American versus British pronunciation of a word. Yeah. The Church of Satan filed a lawsuit against Texas stating abortion ban prevents the religious right to child sacrifice. Yep. Yep. If you find yourself, right, if you have a political position, and you happen to find yourself on the same side as the Church of Satan, please take the time to consider your position. Just a moment, maybe two. Give it some thought. Like, seriously, give it some thought. That's just a funny way to say something, but, hey, yeah, still. Yeah, gots to be careful. I mean, it just kind of reminds me of like the apocalyptic language of the final judgment when Jesus comes and he divides the sheep from the goats, and he sends the goats to depart into everlasting destruction, and the sheep to eternal life. It's like, well, Jesus hasn't come to do the dividing, but you need to know a goat when you see one. Because if you look around and you're surrounded by goats, so to speak, I think you need to go home and rethink your life. That's right. Oh, I forgot. You go home and rethink your life. A Jedi mind trick. These aren't the droids you're looking for. These aren't the ideas you should be thinking. Move along. Have I really been streaming for almost 3.5 hours? Time flies when you're having a lot of conversation. If I recall correctly, there was, like, I don't know, like, we've kind of had, America has kind of had a war on drugs, right? And sure, street drugs, things like that. Though, unfortunately, there's several states that have legalized marijuana. I like the CBD oil without the THC, please. Still, I found the CBD oil to be helpful, but in general, I'm not a fan of THC. But my point is there was a case, and I think it went to the Supreme Court, where I don't know if it was it may have been a single Indian tribe that claimed that the use of opium was used in some of their spiritual rituals. And wanted a religious exemption from the illegality of opium. And I think they were denied. Now, if the Church of Satan, the Luciferians, I suppose we could call them, are saying that they want to be able to take a chemical into their body so that they can abort the child as part of a child sacrifice ritual. Sacrifice the child to whom? I heard that a lot of these so-called Satanists are just atheists. Maybe there's a Satanist out there who believe that God exists and believe that Satan exists. They just believe that Satan is going to win. So Satan is a finite being. God is an infinite being. God is all powerful. How they could get to that is just... that maybe one day Satan's going to overthrow God and become the new God. You know, that's going to have a very strange fulfillment to it. You know what it is? When you're cast into hell to become the playthings of Satan and demons, for all intents and purposes, he will be your God. Congratulations, you got what you wanted. Good luck with it. Yeah, I don't see the Church of Satan getting any leeway, any exemption for child sacrifices. You know, here's the thing, and I've shared this with people before, but all right, so there's religious freedom in America. However, this is interesting, at least. The very foundation of how we understand human rights, right? And I'll go into this concept. The very foundation of how we understand human rights is that we are endowed with inalienable rights by our Creator, right? It's intrinsically theistic that the government was created by the people to protect the rights that they already have, that are not granted by the government. I do disagree with you, consuls. Well, we'll see. We'll see who's right. Okay, you're taking the side that the Church of Satan is going to be allowed to do these child sacrifices. I'm going to take the side that they're not going to be allowed. Now, that's a separate question than whether or not you interpret the First Amendment that allows this. Okay. The reason why I think the way that I do in this subject is not only rooted in these previous precedent, right? Not that precedent can't be overturned, but the present precedent from the Supreme Court rulings. But I also think that, like, if somebody wanted to practice the Aztec religion and needed to cut out people's hearts in a human sacrifice ceremony, that this would be a violation of the rights of another person, and so it wouldn't be allowed, even though it is a religion. They wouldn't be allowed to practice aspects of their religion as a result of that. The First Amendment, as I think about it, would not protect human sacrifices, the ripping out of hearts, and so on and so forth. You can disagree if you want, but I don't see that. I don't see that. But when it comes to the actual decision in this regard, I think that they're not going to be allowed. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So abortions in the womb is enough to be considered child sacrifice? Well, if we take the most basic biological definition of life, which I hope most people learned in their biology class in high school, if not prior to that, if there's cell division, right, there's cellular reproduction, there's motion, there's movement, there's consumption, there's waste. Hey, good morning, Savage. Welcome in. Probably not going to be on much longer. I need to start getting to bed. So, at the most basic definition of life, a zygote, for instance, which is the most basic single cell DNA unique beginning of human life, just on biology itself, just on science itself, just using the word life, right? What makes it living as opposed to an inanimate, non-living matter? Those simple, that simple criteria is what makes it life. Very basic, very basic. A microbe on an asteroid crashing on Earth is proof of life, but not in the womb. Right. Yeah. So they're saying that there was possible like water on Mars. I think we talked about this before. That maybe at one time there may have been water, and there may have been signs of microbes. Yeah, those are, yeah, right, yeah, this is, because it's living, right? A microbe is living. It constitutes the definition of life, that there's consumption, there's waste production, there's motion, there's cellular reproduction, duplication, differentiation, life. That's how we know it's life. That's how we know it's living as opposed to non-living. That's very basic and easy. Now, some people want to try to add more criteria. Well, a human life is only when there's consciousness, or something like that. Well, I mean, whether or not I have consciousness or not is not. I mean, I could be in a coma, come out in 10 years and remember nothing. You know, should people be able to kill me? I hope not. Don't kill me. I'm still alive. I'm still living. Kind of reminds me of the Terry Schiavo thing. When you gave her food and water, she continued to live, even though there was no. They said, based on their instruments at the time, that there wasn't any like brain activity or anything like that. Yeah, that was kind of controversial, in that people were discussing alternative ideas about it. I have nothing against like taking somebody off life support and they naturally die, but starving someone to death, that's it's different. There may be something going on there that I'm not fully aware of, you know. I'm not going to make the assumption I know everything about how the brain works and what the nature of consciousness is. Good luck with that question. Baller asks, do you agree that the soul of a human is different from an animal? Since we have a concept of God, I've never seen anyone worshiping God. Alright, so how I would say, I would say this. Yes. Alright, so the human soul is different than an animal soul. And yes, I used the word soul. Aquinas would even speak of a vegetative soul that plants have. It's not normally how we typically think of this subject. But when it comes to human soul, in Catholic theology, the image of God in which we were created is principally in the soul. The nature of the soul is that it's immortal and it's immaterial. All right, so immortality and immateriality. The powers of the soul is the will and the intellect, right? And it's by means of these things that we reflect the image of God, right? The intellect allows us to ascend to lofty concepts. So you're talking about a concept of God that we can actually, and to Anselm, for example, who he may have been one of the first to champion the so-called ontological argument, that it is at least fascinating that the highest conception of the human mind happens to be God. All right, all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving. You know, you can't conceive of a conception higher, I would argue. It's fascinating. So it's an aspect of the way in which we were created, that by means of reason, and this comes from Vatican I, that one can demonstrate by means of reason alone the existence of God and some of his attributes. I take that position. So yeah, so when it comes to your question about is the human soul different than an animal soul, I would say yes. Yes, it is. Savage says, you could be a Boltzmann brain floating in space, imagining all creation, and you don't realize that yet many things possible. Boltzmann brain. I vaguely recall this. I vaguely recall what Boltzmann said. Boltzmann, however you pronounce it. Imagining floating in space. Humoring the conversation. Yeah, I know you are. A brain floating in space. How could a brain actually, like, not implode in space? And how would a brain imagining creation, like, if you use the Aristotelian epistemology, that nothing exists in the mind that did not first exist in the senses, you know, how is this brain perceiving? How is it receiving anything through the senses? To conceptualize anything, to imagine anything. I mean, you're kind of asking the question, how can a blind person visualize images? Often makes me wonder about what if a person had no senses at all? Would they still have a sense of themselves, of their existence? I would say yes. So I would argue that consciousness is not a sum of what it receives from the senses. That would be absurd. They are two separate things. A mind certainly would be aware of itself if it wasn't aware of anything outside of itself. Those are two different things. One is internal and the other is external. So I certainly wouldn't constitute consciousness as the sum total of its sense of externality. Yeah. Interesting brain floating in space thing. Very good. Many things taken for granted. Yes. Okay, so there's a kind of scientism, I think, that influence people. It's like a scientific positivism. The notion that it goes beyond the realm of epistemology to say that the only knowledge that we can gather is through scientific investigation. However, when you think about the scientific method, for instance, it requires a lot of observation and testing. But if you don't have philosophy, if you don't have abstraction like mathematics, you couldn't infer to the best possible explanation for something. You couldn't necessarily propose probabilities to explain the existence of something. You couldn't extrapolate, right? You couldn't engage in rational extrapolation to a best possible cause, because you couldn't observe those things. You just can't observe them. And not only that, epistemologically speaking, you couldn't demonstrate, all right, that empiricism is the only way in which one can know in an empirical manner. And in fact, you can demonstrate otherwise through rational demonstration. So I think that's just a failed approach
I think more than anything, it's like skepticism on steroids, like overreaching into the realm of things that, yes, we can know. We can know. So, all right, with that, I am saying good night. Tomorrow we shall see what I plan to do. We'll see how I feel. I don't know if I'll just run drills on Donkey Kong Jr., whether I'll play Donkey Kong Jr., whether I'll sit here and talk, whether I'll do a Steam game, puzzle game, something. I don't know. Heck, I may just lay in bed in the dark and stare at the ceiling, even if I can't see it. I'll just imagine that it's there. Yeah. Well, I to thank you folks for the conversation as well. I always enjoy thought-provoking ideas, and I like talking about things and learning things. So I did not get a high score last stream. I'm still in the process of de-resting, so there's moments where I'm still uncertain as to whether or not I can what the birds' behavior are on the blue chains. I'm still have to try to remember small little bits here and there, so we'll see. But yeah, I do plan on getting to. I've had 2 people in as many months since my last PB, I should say. Since my last PB, 2 people have beaten my score. So there's been some activity going on. So that's cool. It's a little bit more active, you know. So that's neat. So we'll see if I can make another contribution. I'm still in the top 5. So, yep. Have a good night, Dragon Soul, Ballard, Savage. Take care. Enjoy. Actually, let me find somebody to host so I can actually just go straight into hosting somebody.